What's going on, guys? My name is Triforce Addiction. Welcome back to another legendary comparison for COD Mobile. So today we are going to be doing an updated video for the DRH legendary comparison. So a while back I did make a comparison video between the DRH Wicked Claw as well as the purebred back in season 6, but of course we now have a new legendary skin called the Blood Rose, so obviously we have to do an updated video about it and start ranking them accordingly. So of course you guys already know how this goes. We are going to start in chronological order, so now let's begin. So the first legendary that is released is what you're seeing right now, the DRH Wicked Claw. So typically when it comes to new seasons or newer weapons, they do have a legendary skin during that same season that they're released. I mean, that typically happens nowadays. But this kind of happened beforehand. So yeah, we got this one in season 8, but we didn't get a legendary until like maybe season 11 or season 12. But it was very much worth the wait. So out of the 3, the DRH Wicked Claw is actually the only one that is reactive. The other ones are kill reactive, but in terms of having the weapon change, the more kills you get, obviously this is the only one that does it. But I will say that the DRH is probably one of the most decorated versions of a legendary skin, and it has the most animations going on with it. So despite it being a very old legendary, over a year old now, it still stands a test of time. I mean, honestly, this is probably one of the best legendary skins for assault rifles that I've seen like throughout the history of this game. So even though the skin is pretty nice, there is 2 faults with this skin. One of them is the fact that the iron sight isn't really that changed. If anything, it's just a standard version of the iron sight, maybe just changed up a little bit, but nothing really crazy. The second one, and I think this one's actually a major flaw, is the fact that despite it having like a lot of, you know, different effects to it, I mean probably the most flashes that I've seen for like any legendary, there are some flaws, specifically when it comes to game performance. In certain maps, you're gonna have a lot of frame drops because of how much is going on with this skin, especially when you do get the kill effect right in front of you. I don't know if any of you guys have noticed this, but yeah, this one does tend to cause frame drops, and that's why for the most part I would stick with the purebred since it has the least amount of effects. Of course, the performance aspect isn't really going to be graded within this legendary comparison because we're just really focusing on the cosmetics. But besides all that, besides those fucking flaws, I mean, just the effects is just absolutely amazing. The physical structure as well is very well decorated. And even with the death effect as well as the, I guess, the muzzle flash, it's absolutely insane. For a legendary during its time as well, it was probably one of the best at its time. I don't know about now. I know I did say it's one of the best, but I mean, there might be some legendaries that can compete with this one. But yeah, anyways, moving on to the purebred. So in season 6 of last year, we were introduced to a lot of things. I mean, Ether Crystal, Undead Siege, and one of the legendary skins that was coming out for that season was the DRH purebred. So this is the one that I've been using the most out of the 2 that were released at the time, because like I said, with the performance issues of the Wicked Claw, I mean, it was kind of obstructing my gameplay, so I would have to use the DRH purebred. But I mean, this one does have a lot of good qualities as well. So out of most death effects in the game, this one has to have the most unique. It basically turns into a pile of coins and cash when you do kill the enemy. I mean, that's something that we hardly ever see. You know, with the Wicked Claw, I mean, it's pretty generic. I mean, the way it disintegrates, the effects seem very similar to a lot of other effects, such as the one from the AK-117 Meltdown. The only difference from that, of course, was the fact that it did have claws coming out, but even then, it still feels kind of generic. Unfortunately for the skin, it doesn't have any reactive stages, so the only time it'll ever react is when you do get a kill. It'll have some shining effects on it, but nothing really too crazy. Out of all the legendary skins, I would say that this one is probably the one with the least amount of effects. I mean, don't get me wrong, the kill effect is pretty cool, but I'm talking about ongoing effects, stuff that you just see in the gun without actually doing anything. The eyes are really the only thing that lights up, and that's pretty much it. There's not a lot of, I guess, vibrancy when it comes to colors, but yeah, it's not really a good weapon for effects. But the iron sight is the one thing that more than makes up for the loss of effects. So the iron sight, I would say, out of the 3 is the absolute best. There's no question about it. if you do, you might have to get checked by a doctor, because I mean, yeah, there has to be something wrong with you if you think that there's any other iron sight for the DRH legendaries that's better than this one. When it comes to the shooting sound and just its sound effects overall, it really does stick to its theme. Whenever you do shoot, it just sounds like a stack of tokens just, you know, piling on each other. It's pretty nice. In terms of competition, I mean, how it compares to like the other ones, I would say that this one's probably second place, because the Wicked Claw, I feel, is a little bit better. In terms of its appearance, just its physical structure, I mean, I don't really think there's any contest out there. This would have to be the best one out of the three. I know the Wicked Claw is very, very well decorated, but even when you have no completionist camo on this one, it's still solid gold, looks very colorful and very elegant. So yeah, I would have to rank this one first place. So while it might not have the flashiest effects or animations out there out of the three, it still more than makes up for it by its physical appearance as well as iron sight and death effects. So now we move on to the third and final legendary for the DRH, which is the Blood Rose. So of course this was, I think, originally called the Red Me. So I actually found out, someone actually commented on the review for this legendary skin, and they told me that the Red Me was actually some sort of cell phone company in China, so they had a collaboration. And of course the circuitry on the center of the weapon is like, I guess, a microchip or something. So yeah, so the more you know, I guess. So really quick, in terms of its appearance, I would say it's in last place. I mean, it's really nothing as crazy as the Wicked Claw is, or, you know, the purebred. So yeah, it does kind of fall behind, but I mean, the death effect, just the regular effects are just absolutely amazing. Of course, there's not really a lot of shooting sounds for this weapon. It is there, but it's really, really weak compared to the purebred as well as the Wicked Claw. Let's not forget about the muzzle flash. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. I'll probably say it's the best out of the three if I was counting it in this video. As it goes for the iron sight, I did give this one second place because, I mean, it doesn't really compare as much to the purebred. I mean, the purebred is the absolute best. This one might be a little bit similar, although a little bit thinner as well, but it's far better than the Wicked Claw, so that's why it deserves second place. So here are the final results for each of the legendary skins. So for the physical design on the DRH, I decided to give it second place. While it is very, very well decorated, I feel like the purebred is a little bit better in terms of its design because there's a lot more going on with it. As for the animations, I did give it first place, obviously, because first it's reactive and it's a lot more vibrant. There's a lot more going on with electricity and more just energy all around it. For death effects, though, I did give it third place because it is kind of generic in some ways. The DRH, I did give it second place. As for the DRH Blood Rose, I did give it first place because of its uniqueness. As for the sound effects, I did give the DRH first place while the purebred got second place. The Blood Rose wasn't really that great and not really that noticeable compared to the two. So yeah, that's the reason why I have them ranked the way they are. So now for the sound, well, I already talked about sound effects, whoops. Anyways, to the iron sight. So for the DRH Wicked Claw, it's basically a very basic version of iron sight for the DRH, so there's nothing really special there, so I did give it third place. Purebred, like I said, it's the best one out of the three, so obviously it's first place. As for the Blood Rose, since it's very similar and, you know, you could view your enemies a lot better, it does get second place. I forgot to also mention the animations for the other ones, with the exception of the Wicked Claw. The purebred, like I said, I give it third place because it has the least amount of animations. But as for the Blood Rose or the Red Me, whatever you want to call it, it does have a lot more effects going on with it. So that's why I decided to rank it second place. But anyways, that's pretty much going to do it for this video. I know some results you might not agree with. Of course, it's all based on personal preference. When it came to comparing the purebred and the Wicked Claw in terms of their appearance, that was probably the hardest part of this video because, I mean, they're both really well decorated, but I would say the purebred's better because it's just a lot more flashy. But yeah, anyways, let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. I'll see you guys next time.